We're going to take a look at mental health. It's a very big topic nowadays, and I think it's important to really look into it and see how it really works. So, if mental health was an animal, what would be its best habitat? Hmm. I guess it's better to say if mental health was a plant, that makes more sense. Yeah. If mental health was a plant, what would be the most nourishing environment for that plant, that mental health thing? It's a very good question. I think we just kind of jump to actions and then we think, well, in doing these actions, we get the end result. Because scientifically, that's kind of how we look at it. If you have the ability to promote self care, self understanding, self efficacy, then your mental health will be better. But that is a huge, huge skill, an emotional skill, a new skill, really, for us to try to take advantage of, and it'll take a lot of support to kind of raise that skill because it's new and we haven't really used it in our day-to-day life. So we have to give more time for these things to happen. So that'd be good for the mental environment, but we're doing things faster and faster, so I don't think that is going to be an easy task. If we're continually trying to do things faster and move faster and get more done, then I don't think that's a very great environment for the building of skills that are going to take time, patience, and nurturing. So we have a fundamental frustration of actions here. We need something to go slower, but we're moving faster. So then what we get is just the words and not the environment. So mental health, great. What environment supports mental health? There's a lot of things. You do have to know yourself very well. Is mental health, are the actions of mental health the same for each generation? No, they're very different. Although the actions might be similar, how you speak about those actions, how you bring them into kind of life, how you bring them to life is going to be different for each generation because the social demands were also different. That's kind of like the environment that was present in the era of the person growing up. So if you grew up with the old school way of doing things, traditional homes, traditional rules, manners, respect is everything, everybody contributing to the promotion of the family, a tight knit group, then you can't speak about mental health the same way as you talk about it to somebody who grew up in the middle of that. Well, these rules are great, but I'm all about being more expressive with myself. I want to do what I want to do so I can enjoy my own life. It's going to be different social pressure. Again, that's different than the generation we have now, the younger generation, which is far more emotionally immersed than all the other generations. So again, the language would change, the actions would change, therefore the environment is going to be different for all three. And if we're going to take a look at mental health, that's really how we're going to have to break it down. Now, let's take a look at the younger generation. They're growing up in a world full of emotional words, statements, understanding, studies. We have emotional intelligence, we have social intelligence, we have interpersonal neurobiology, we have compassionate speech, we have wellness. This is kind of the background that they're growing up. They're growing up with a very strong focus on mental health, emotional health, which the parents of them are not very well versed in. So how are the parents supposed to support the children? We're going to have to bring back the school system to do that kind of supporting, but we're cutting the budget for schooling. And that, again, those skills are going to take time, dedication, and focused energy to bring about. Again, frustrated energy. Uh, it's not going to be an easy task. And now that we don't have that traditional mother that's staying home to raise the children, to give the children kind of an identity of themselves. Back in the day, the mother, the person taking care of the children, would have the skills to kind of tell the child who they are based on the actions that they have. Oh, Johnny, he's the fussy one. Or Tommy's always trying to run around all over the place and hurting himself. So I have to make sure this. And you have like a reflection. The child has a reflection of their personality based on the mother's highly attuned skills to the needs of that child, therefore having a greater identity of self. Well, in 2020, we don't have that same thing. So what are we doing to replace that very, very important role? Same if we take a look at the traditional father. He's going to show the girl or boy the hardships of life. Life is not that easy, my son. So you're going to have to learn these things. This is how you treat a woman. Here are the manners. Here's the respect. Here are the things that you have to be able to do for yourself to be able to attract a good quality lady. And this is what to stay away from. He's going to show you that life is not easy. And he's going to have some compassion himself because he knows how hard it is. And therefore, between those two kind of archetypical characters, the mother and the father, we're able to understand ourselves greater. Although there were challenges to that generation, lots of rules, but it gave you an idea of who you are because you could either resist those rules or go with those rules. And then you have a greater idea of self. This would be a greater environment than to now add the emotional intelligence style things on top of. But again, we don't really have that. So we have a whole lot of new skills being integrated into the younger generation that the older generation doesn't have and are now trying to kind of catch up on, but they're catching up on it in a way of never living it in the first place. And I think if we're really going to take a look at mental health, we can't just point out the important points of having mental health without creating the environment that supports it, that brings it to life, that makes it practical so that we can then support it in the younger people and then also carry it through our own lives and then provide it for the elderly people and create greater conversation between different generations. I think this is the best way to start to approach mental health as an environmental thing because we know that the social environment is very important for that, and this I think is the way to get about that. So again, I point these things out to create conversation, to bring it kind of to life. So feel free to email designfitness.ca and we can get more into topics that are fascinating to you.